figured Rocky was more interesting than Jersey Shore or something like that. So welcome. Thank you for joining me for owning the online future of your law review. We're going to talk a little bit today about law review publishing and about digital commons. My name is Kathleen Collins. I am the Director of Marketing at Berkeley Electronic Press, otherwise known as B-Press. I've been with B-Press for about 4 years. I've done a bunch of stuff for them. I started out managing their selected works product and building that product. And then I also manage their Etiquette product, which is a full-blown peer-reviewed publication management system. So I have a lot of experience in using the system, showing the system, so that's why I'm here today. A little word about B-Press. We are located on Telegraph Avenue, just a few blocks from the CALI campus. We're located on top of a yoga studio, which is probably pretty fitting for a Berkeley-based organization. Every morning we hear chanting come in through the windows and incense walking in and out. It's great. B-Press was founded 10 years ago by 3 professors from Cal Berkeley. They wanted to build a new publishing system. They were frustrated with the inefficiencies of the current publishing model, so they set out to build a better system, and they started publishing law and econ journals online. We started with 4 journals just in law and econ. Today we have over 50 journals in all different subject areas. In 2001, we collaborated with the California Digital Library, and we expanded our publishing platform into a full-blown institutional repository system for the 10 UC campuses. That came to be known as Digital Commons, and today Digital Commons is the leading hosted IR platform. And many of you probably know us from our law products. We're the company that developed Espresso, which is an online article delivery service for law reviews. So I want to talk first a little bit about what prompted this topic. We definitely keep our ear to the ground in the law market because we do so much work there. And we started to hear a lot of rumbling about law reviews moving online or wanting to move online. And we were really curious, so we sent out a survey to our Espresso users. We surveyed about 100 law review editors, and we asked them questions about the future of online publishing and law reviews. And when asked how far their law reviews had come in posting content online, almost 12% said that they were posting abstracts, 10% said that they're posting the table of contents, and over 50% said that they're already posting the full text online. So the fact that over 70% are at least trying to have some form of online presence was pretty telling to us that this is certainly the direction that law reviews are headed. Some other interesting elements from the survey. Here are some quotes that came directly from law review editors, and I'll just read them out briefly. So we asked why they're publishing online, why do they think it's important? Number 1, it promotes wider dissemination and easier access to articles. The easier we make it to cite us, the more we'll be cited. Not going online can mean the decimation of a journal, as most researchers are looking on the internet for material. It exposes other students interested in law review and legal scholarship to the articles, including those students not already in law school. And then lastly, with a greater audience, there is more of an incentive for associates to perform better. So in addition to anecdotal feedback about why people think this is important, we've also found that there's solid research out there that shows sort of the impact that online law review content can have. This is a graph from a presentation from AALL from July 2009, and it's from James Donovan and Carol Watson, who are both from the University of Georgia Law. And they found that there's a clear correlation between citation counts and open access scholarship that's posted online. So they looked at content from the Georgia Law Review from 1990 to 2007, and the open access articles posted to the web definitely had a clear advantage in citation rates over time. So So this is a quote from Elena Kagan, who is the former dean of Harvard Law School. And she says, "The Harvard Law School faculty produces some of the most exciting, groundbreaking scholarship in the world. Our decision to embrace open access means that people everywhere can benefit from the ideas generated here at the law school." I really love this quote because it highlights a really important concept here, and that's sort of this concept of doing well by doing good. So of course there's the benefit of citation rates for the law review being online, but by putting your content on the web, you've also taken down or eliminated barriers for people wanting to and needing to access that content. So you've opened the doors for scholars, students, especially those in developing nations, for example, who don't have money or access to print journals. So one of the reasons people do this, or law reviews do this, is because they're giving back to the community, and at the same time the scholarship's having a great impact. So it's kind of a everybody wins scenario. Another reason that this topic came up for us, of course, is because several law reviews are now publishing online using Digital Commons. Most of you probably know a little bit about Digital Commons, but just a brief overview. Digital Commons is a hosted institutional repository platform, and it allows universities, colleges, associations to manage, showcase, and publish scholarship online. And typically, we license Digital Commons to university-wide systems, but recently, over the last couple of years, law schools have started creating their own institutional repositories. They basically want the control, the settings, the branding. They want it all to sort of reflect the law school. They want to be able to have a greater say over sort of how that's controlled. And of course, as the law reviews have come on board, as the law schools have come on board, their law reviews have come on board. So schools on this slide are some of the schools where their law reviews have come on board as early adopters for Digital Commons. And initial feedback has been really strong. It seems to be a really good fit for law schools. So today, what I wanted to do is I wanted to summarize why law reviews are finding Digital Commons to be such a good fit and why it's giving them an advantage. So that's what we're going to take a look at today. So there's four main reasons, as I can see it, that law reviews are turning to Digital Commons to publish online. The first reason is because it helps to increase discovery and interaction with journal content. It also helps the journal to move faster and more efficiently through the publication process. It also helps establish a journal's online authority, and it also makes the journal an online destination that's someplace worth traveling to and worth going back to and worth sticking around. And why do we know this? Why do we sort of think about this kind of thing? Because we're journal publishers too, and this is the kind of thing that we need to think about as journal publishers. And since we are only an online publisher, we don't have anything in print, this is very, very important to us, making sure that our journals have the biggest impact online and are doing everything they need to get discovered. So, Digital Commons, promoting discovery and use of journal content. Content can have a very limited impact if it's difficult to find on the web. There's certainly an immense amount of scholarship on the web, and it's growing by leaps and bounds every day, but it's not enough to just have that content sitting on a website somewhere. You have to actively push that content out for discovery. So the thing to understand about IRs and about Digital Commons specifically is that they're dissemination engines. This is sort of what they do, it's why they exist. And we do a lot at bPress to make sure that our content is found. So I want to talk a little bit about full text indexing and Google optimization. Law review editors are definitely starting to discover that Google is a place they absolutely have to be. They have to have their content up there. Some scholars are always going to go through law databases, but undergraduates, ordinary folks, professionals in cost-conscious situations, they're more and more going to Google to do down-and-dirty research. There's a great quote from Lawrence Solom from the Lewis and Clark Law Review, It was from an article called Download It While It's Hot, and I'm just going to read it off briefly. And the new rule of Google has an enormously important consequence. There will come a day when the saying, if it isn't on the net, it doesn't exist, is true. Open access legal scholarship will be the only legal scholarship that is actually read. Closed access legal scholarship will be the tree that falls with no one in the forest. So a couple of things we do at Digital Commons. All content is full text index in Google and Google Scholar. That means that when someone goes into Google and they type in a keyword search, it doesn't just search the metadata for that article, it searches the entire PDF. So every word, in that article, every word in the metadata gets searched. A lot of law reviews have content up online, but they don't have full text indexing, and it's key in our rankings, we found. We also work directly with Google to optimize our pages, to give us good Google juice, as we like to call it. It's not the kind of job that you can do once and then say, oh, we're good. It takes constant vigilance and changing the system, tweaking the system, trying to get it to be picked up by Google better. Digital Commons is, all content is OAI PMH compliant. OAI stands for the Open Archives Initiative, and it basically means that your content can be discovered in library systems and content portals like Encore, Primo, WorldCat, and Oyster. This is another advantage because many academics don't use Google. Instead, they're going to use more fine-grained research tools like this. Also, our metadata is stored as qualified Dublin Core. Dublin Core is a metadata standard used in library computer science. It's really simple, it's really flexible, and it basically means that a lot of people are going to be able to find your work, and a lot of people are going to be able to use that metadata in different ways. All content in Digital Commons is RSS enabled. That means that anyone that goes to your law review can sign up for an RSS feed of all your new content if they use an RSS reader. People that don't use RSS feeds can also sign up for simple email notification services. We have a notification system called BAlert, and we have tens of thousands of scholars who've already signed up for content-specific feeds and email notifications through the bPress system. So this is all by way of saying that if you join the bPress system, you're sort of already joining a system of scholars that are looking for scholarship. And you also have a personal mailing list that you can use with Digital Commons. So if you want to publicize events and manage some activities that way, you can do that too. So our users are definitely seeing the benefit of this work. Marquette Law Review, which I'm going to show you in a little more detail in a moment, they started loading their law review content in August of 2009, and they had 7,000 downloads before they even made the site public. They're at over 20,000 downloads now. They're pretty happy with that. And they've also noticed that a lot of their downloads are coming from out of state, which was very unexpected for them. So what you see here is, I think this is their first couple of days of launch, and they were really happy to see that, although of course Wisconsin is their number one, that's where most of their visitors are coming from. Number 2 is New York, and number 3 is California. So when you look at actual download numbers, you see that our download numbers are actually really, really strong. This holds up in practice quite well. I know some of you have read a lot of what James and Carol have done from the University of Georgia Law. This is from Pamela Blue, who's from Maryland School of Law. And what she did was she compared papers posted to SSRN and papers posted to DC simultaneously and tracked them over time. As you can see, according to her stats, DC papers had a very clear advantage over time. And I show this as a way to demonstrate that all of the intangible things that I'm talking about, they actually do add up to something in the end. So I'm going to talk briefly about preservation. A preservation strategy is very important anytime you're thinking of putting content up on the web. Just like you wouldn't want content to be transient in your library, you don't want it to be transient on the web either. And law is particularly vulnerable here, we've noticed. There's so much law scholarship being put up on the web, but a lot of it isn't stable, it's not permanent. It's there one day, it's gone the next, or it moves places. And that's kind of unfortunate because, as we all know, law is a discipline where things build on each other, and permanence is really crucial in this regard. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how DC sort of preserves your content. So our URLs are clean and they're stable. This means that they're not 50 characters long, they don't change, they don't disappear ever. Clean, stable URLs also mean that it's easier for someone to find your work, cite your work, and it also means that the work's never going to go away. Unless, of course, you purposefully move it to a new location, then we resolve the links to wherever your content is living. This is a huge benefit of a hosted model. You don't have to worry about your site going down. Last year we had 99.9% uptime for administrative users and 99.9999 uptime for readers. And I'm told by our tech people that those nines actually mean something. The other benefit of the hosted model is that you get access anywhere, anytime. All you need is a computer and an internet connection, and you're on. This, goes for readers, editors, authors, anybody interacting with your journal. They get the benefits of, a very stable environment. bPress has a very robust backup and disaster recovery plan. I'll briefly speak to it. I won't get into too much detail because it's a little too technical for my blood. We have local backups of our database every 6 hours. We have daily offsite backups, weekly backups with Iron Mountain, failover web database and storage servers. We have 2 engineers on call 24/7 every day of the year. All activities and versions are tracked in the system, so a system is always apparent, it's always recoverable. And we also will send all of your content via FTP on a quarterly basis so that you can locally archive it if you want to. So the takeaway from this is that content is very, very safe in Digital Commons. And the other takeaway is that you don't need to burden your IT staff with supporting it, making sure it's safe, backing it up. And I know for law schools, the IT staff tends to be pretty pressed on other projects, so they usually welcome something like this. So now we're going to talk a little bit, we're going to dive into the actual journal management section, and we're going to talk about a little bit of the publishing system. So as I mentioned, Digital Commons is built on top of our own publishing system, so it includes a full commercial grade publishing system underneath. So the first thing I want to show is just the upload form. It might take a minute to load. So the way that we try to build our system and build all our tools is to make it easier for everyone interacting with your system, many of whom are not going to have any technical expertise whatsoever, making it really easy for them to actually interact with your content and work on your journal. So what we're going to look at is we're going to look at the Marquette Law Review. This is their submission system. This is their submit page. It's pretty simple. It's just a one-page submission form. We've tried to design it to be clean, clear, easy for anyone to navigate and use. What we're looking at right here is a basic submission form. Everything on this page can be totally customized, so you can collect, the metadata that you want, and not the metadata that you don't. For example, this journal, accepts responses. Not all journals do, but you can do that. Here's where you would grab the full text. It's pretty simple. It's like attaching a file to an email. You just grab it, put it on there. The system is going to automatically convert Word and RTF documents to PDF. Plus, it's going to add a stamped cover page for your law review. Again, it's just to speed up the process, make it easier for people interacting with your journal. So basically, the author would go through here, they would submit, they would get a confirmation page. And then they would actually be able to log into the system at any time after that and see the status of their paper. So this is another feature that's really attractive to editors because it means they don't have to field so many questions about where's my paper, did you get it, what state is it in. There are basically 3 ways to get content to the system. There's this way, which is sort of the author model where the author is submitting directly. The editor can also submit on the author's behalf, or you can batch upload content. So if you have volumes and volumes that you need to get into the system, you can batch upload by XML or Excel. You can also batch revise by Excel. So if you need to change metadata across the entire journal, if something changes, you can do that really quickly and easily. Okay, now we're going to look at the back end of the system. Sometimes we call this the Etiquette System. This is sort of where bpress all started. It's the publishing platform that we built everything off of. So a couple things I want to speak to on this page. The top portion of the page is basically a very robust search engine. So you can look at content by state. So is it published? Is it rejected? Is it withdrawn? You can also look at content by sub-state. So is it waiting for an editor? Is it out for review right now? You can also look at all of your different editors and what they're working on. Every editor is going to get their own unique view and their own unique settings. So the system has many, many settings. You can basically create any kind of workflow that you need. We work with over 200 journals. We handle just about every kind of journal workflow. You can also look for content by abstract, keyword. It gets really helpful if you have 200 or 300 submissions in the system. This gets really useful really fast. On the bottom of the page, you have the actual contents. These are actual papers that have been sent in. You'll see that there's the title, last event. This waiting for editor dot is basically just any paper you see with a red dot, as an editor you have to work on. So again, the system's just designed for speed and for efficiency. So if I click the title of the paper, I see versions of the paper. I see the metadata for this paper. On the left-hand side of the screen, I see several steps in the workflow and publication process. The system can handle full double-blind peer review, or it can handle very, very simple, one administrator's looking at content and publishing it. It's pretty flexible. So some of these steps wouldn't be appropriate for all journals, but so you can assign editors. You can bounce it around to maybe a lead editor, maybe a student editor, an editor-in-chief, and they can all have different roles within the system. You can also send the paper out for peer review. So you can communicate with reviewers through the system, track reviewer reports, accept, reject, ask for revisions. You can revise the submission, so if you want to change abstract, metadata, update a new version of the file, you can do that. You can also add supplemental content to this piece if you'd like to. And one thing I want to show is this little history tab. If I click that, I'm going to see everything that's ever happened to this paper in the history of time. So it's just a quick and dirty page so that all editors are literally on the same page. Editors can leave notes to each other through the process. I don't know, I think it's kind of a useful page. You can publish it to the web. So you can publish on a one-off basis, article by article. You can also work within different volume issue configurations and work on your volumes and then publish them all at once. The other thing you can do is you can do a hybrid model where you are publishing a forthcoming article to the web, for example, and then you're sending a copy of the paper to your printer for physical printing. We have a couple of journals that do that. We actually, I would say most of our law reviews are wholly, they're sticking with some form of the physical presence, and they're just sort of doing a hybrid model because they want to get online, they want to start doing that, but they don't want to give up revenue. Okay, access controls. This is pretty important. All content in Digital Commons can be access controlled. There's 3 ways that we can do it: IP address, email address, or username. And of course, having access controls means that you can consider charging subscriptions for the content. We don't currently handle the monetary aspects, but you can plug out to third-party systems to collect money and do financial transactions. Readership reports. This is probably number one with authors. We offer several different reporting tools. We offer usage reports, which present download information for all articles in the system. We also provide editor reports, which show how journals are performing over time and how content is moving through journals. And then also authors receive monthly emails with downloads for any content that they put in your system. This is probably one of the most popular features. It gets authors sort of engaged more, coming back more, and it really always makes them very interested in working with the system. And then lastly, we're fully integrated with Google Analytics, which basically means that you can get readership reports, but you can also get very detailed reports on site activity. So who's coming to your site, where are they coming from, what regions. So some of you have probably seen Google Analytics. It's a really, really cool tool. So a little bit about training and support. vPress is primarily a services company, I would say. And as a services company, we build, we design, we support the journals completely. This is a very scalable model that's particularly good for multiple journal situations, for example. So you tell us what you want the journal to look like. Our designer gets working on it, and you're off and running. Usually for one journal, it's in less than a week or something like that. Unlimited training and support means that if anyone who interacts with your system, so that's reviewers, authors, editors, if they ever have a problem with the system, they come to us, they don't come to you. And I know that anyone who's ever managed an in-house system probably knows how much value that is, how much value that brings. And especially with law reviews, I mean, you lose those editors every year. So who's keeping that institutional information? Who's training them again next year? Who built the system? With an in-house solution, you've got to ask all those questions. With something like this, we're there to
Kathleen,
yeah.
What's your delivery model for training?
Delivery model. So we do it over webinar, and it's unlimited. So basically, you get us in touch with the people who are going to be running the publications, and we train them. It usually takes about an hour or less. And then they're up and running. And then if they have any problem, they come to us. Sure. So we've noticed from a lot of our law review editors that one of the reasons the online environment is very appealing to them is because it gives them a chance to reinvigorate their journals. Marvin Bynum, who's the editor of the Marquette Law Review, for example, he gave a really great talk back in January where he talked about making the transition to digital commons, and he described how they wanted to use an IR, not only just to get the journal up on the web, but also to become a dynamic forum for ideas, is how he put it. So one way to do that is to add dynamic related material. And the first thing I want to talk about is back issue content. From what we could tell from our surveys, most law reviews are having a lot of trouble getting back issue content up on the web, which is a shame because that content certainly took a lot of effort and resources to produce and is now basically locked away in a tomb somewhere. And the value of excavating the materials and pushing it out there and getting it into the light of day, it has been really huge for these law reviews that have done it. The Marquette website now includes the entire archive back to 1916, and they've been getting a tremendous number of calls from local lawyers, thanking them for this scholarship. They've been getting a really great response to it. Another tool that we're starting to offer right now is scanning services. So we're doing this for Boston College, for example. We're scanning all the back issue content and batch uploading it to the system for them. And also, I believe many of our users are working directly with Hein to get an entire archive of their back issues, and then we'll batch upload that too. So that's a possibility as well. Another new area that definitely appears to be sparking interest for law reviews and law schools is conferences. So I'm going to show you Marquette again. So they have several conferences that they're managing in DC. They're going to have more coming down the road. This one was an international media and conflict resolution conference that happened back in March. So a little bit about this conference series that we're looking at. They can have their own branding, or they can stick with the branding of the law review or of the law school. This one is keeping a consistent branding. It's very important to them to do that, but it can change. They can also have multiple themes and multiple tracks. This one only has one. It was a one-track conference. They can also add audio files or any discrete file type. So here's the actual session. You see information about the session, start date, end date. We can download the PowerPoints, or we can go in and play a copy of the streaming recording of the session. You can also use Digital Commons to look at presentation proposals, to solicit them, to review them, reject them, move them through the system. And then you can also collect conference scholarship in proceedings and post it to a special issue in your law review, for example. So a little bit about multimedia. In Digital Commons, you can upload any discrete file type in the system that you would like. So that includes audio, video, PowerPoints, images. We have a specific module for image galleries, for example, and slideshows. This is from University of Georgia Law, and this is in their conferences and symposia series. And you'll see that they had former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger and Madeleine Albright and Colin Powell came and gave a talk. So they wanted to obviously capture this in their institutional repository. You'll see down here you can download the press release from the event, bibliography, and then you'll also see that they've added a streaming copy of the event too.
Kathleen?
Yeah?
Is that being streamed from a streaming server?
Yeah, this is on their, this
so they're embedded to their server?
Yeah, and then they just point to it here. So we don't stream through Digital Commons. It has to be on YouTube, Vimeo, or your campus server. Basically, it has to be on a public website for you to stream through Digital Commons. You can put the actual file in here. You know,
Sure.
You can put the actual real player file, for example. Just briefly about special issues. DC includes really simple tools that allows you to create special issues. So you can, take already published content to create a virtual issue, or you can mix new and old content. We have a new auto-collect feature that allows you to do this really easy. Just grab content from different places and use it. You can also use your mailing list functionality to publicize the special features. Or you can export a list of all your authors that have ever submitted to your journal, and you can publicize, call for papers and that kind of stuff to them as well. Okay. So this is sort of the hardest concept to get the brain around, but it's probably one of the more important concepts. An institutional repository is a very important place on the web. It's the place where output is collected, managed, shared, and like books that benefit, from being found in a library, your journal is going to benefit from being found in your institutional repository. And that's not only because it, brings people through the door, so to speak, but it's also because it provides a strong, stamp of authority for that content that you're putting up on the web. So there's a lot of content up on the web, as I mentioned before, especially in the field of law. And one way that users can decipher sort of how valuable that content is to see, what's behind that content. So that's the publisher of the content, that's the journal, that's the editor. All of these, provide these signals of quality to the reader about whether the content they're consuming is valuable or not. And this becomes more and more important as more and more content gets thrown up on the web every day. So now we're actually going to look at the larger repository for Marquette. So this is Marquette University, e-publications at Marquette. And you'll see that here's how their content is broken up. You can find the law journal either by search or browse. So if you were to search any legal term, it would include law review content. You could also browse down into these different departments and just drill down into the journal, which I'm going to do in a second. You can find it by research unit, you can find it by discipline, you can also find it by different journals at the school. So the fact that the law review is sort of nestled in this bigger home, this IR home, has a few advantages. The content is certainly more easily found. It's got a very sort of pleasing presentation. It makes someone want to browse, it makes someone want to come back. It's easier to locate what you're looking for. It's also easier to trust what you found, and it's also easy to find related content, which is all important. And of course, the advantage to all of this added order is more impact. So I'm going to drill down into the law review. So this is the actual law review. You'll see that on the top of the page they have forthcoming papers. In the right-hand side they have certain links. They link out to their conferences. They also have information for members. In the bottom of the page they have the actual issue. On the right-hand side, you can search this journal, and that's going to be a full-text search, not just a metadata search, which is a nice feature. You can search the repository, all repositories at bPress, just in this journal, or you can browse. As I mentioned, they have all their issues back from 1916, so you can go back and just browse old issues too. Here's an actual paper. So this is the paper abstract page. You'll see on the right-hand side, you can download the paper. You can share it with a colleague. We can submit a response to this paper. We can also bookmark or share this paper on social networking sites. You'll also see here's the RSS feed. So as I mentioned, all pages have the RSS feed enabled. And then you could also, if this paper had supplemental content, you could add supplemental content. I'm going to download the paper. Okay, and you'll see that it's a PDF format. It has a stamp on it. And one thing I wanted to talk a little bit about the cover page, because it's pretty important. More and more users are coming directly through Google, which means that some are going to be navigating through your repository, but many of them are going to be coming just from keyword searches from Google, and they're going to be landing right on PDF pages. So it's really, really important to brand the law review at that level. This, for two reasons. It makes the content, it establishes the content's legitimacy, but it also, for lack of a better word, continues to market your law review brand. So at DC, each article is going to have an automatically generated cover page. We have a really neat new feature coming down the road that's going to let people link back into your journal from this. It's also going to have sort of a suggestion feature that says, oh, you like this topic on conflict resolution, you might like this article. So that's coming in the next 6 months. bPress never stamps your content in any way. It's your content, you own it. We don't make any claims of ownership whatsoever. You can add links out to Wikipedia, you can add links to your website, your blogs. It's a completely open system, and it's yours to make as open as you like. So I've saved one of the most important elements for last, and that's to talk about design. So our designers work directly with you or the journal editors to create the design of the journal. The journal can be designed as its own unique entity, or it can take the branding of the institution or the law school. Most journals do choose to take the larger branding, but that's up to you. And in our 10 years of online publishing, we've never ceased to be amazed for our own journals how important the design element is, how important it is for users to see something nice, to see something attractive, and to see something with behavior that's logical and consistent. And having a well-designed journal can definitely provide a really great marketing tool. Marquette has found that time and time again. And I think if you compare journals that you see in DC with journals that you see in other places, you'll definitely see DC has a nice sort of clean professional design to it, and our users really appreciate that. All right, so I think this is where I'm going to stop at least monologuing, and hopefully we'll open it up for questions in a minute. I did want to mention really briefly next steps if anyone's interested in learning more. It could very well be that your school or your law school already has a DC license. We have 150 institutions using Digital Commons already, so it may not be your law school, but it could be your larger campus, and chances are they would let you publish through their DC license as well. And if so, the system is totally free to you. It could also be that your law school is actively considering DC. I would say about 70 to 80% of law schools are currently considering it. And in that case, we would basically get you in touch with the people on your campus that are interested in trying to move it forward, and you could express interest. And in the slim chance that you're not in either of those categories, we do license DC on an individual journal basis, and that fee is an annual fee of $3,000 a year. So the bottom line, if you're interested and you want to learn more, just send me an email or come grab me tomorrow. And I'm here tomorrow until about noon. So grab me and yeah, we can talk about it. Hope that was useful. If anyone has any questions, please. Yeah?
I wanted to ask, SSRN sort of makes a big deal about download counts.
Yeah.
And I heard them talk about how they spend all kinds of money sort of screening out downloads that aren't sort of real. And one element of their system that they advertise is, as you know, on Google, if you get directed to an SSRN paper, it goes to the sort of abstract page, right? And the theory is then that the sort of reader sort of makes some kind of a decision about is it relevant and should I download it. So I've heard SSRN folks sort of say that the ePress download counts are sort of inflated because they don't sort of have that screening function. So I wondered what your comments are on that.
Yeah. So the first part, I would say, in terms of stripping out bots and spiders and that kind of stuff, we do a tremendous amount of work to strip out just about everything we can. I would say we have probably industry-leading standards in terms of how we actually strip out non-human activity. In terms of inflating numbers, I think it's just a difference of opinion in ideology. We believe if somebody's looking for content, you should deliver it to them. You shouldn't make them go through this, this other hoop to get to the content. We're just thinking of it from a very practical perspective. They're looking for content in media law, give them the content, give them the PDF. So, yeah.
You mentioned that you guys are helping Boston College, University?
Yeah.
Well, the scanning, does the full text search extend to the scanned PDF?
Yeah, there's a way you specifically have to do it, so it does. I think it's called something.
OCR.
Yeah, you have to OCR the content, but if you do OCR the content, then it will, and we are doing that for Boston College, so it will be full text indexing.
Now, who's doing the quality control? We all know, like Google Books. The scan, you look at the actual text, OCR text.
Yeah.
there are a lot of errors in it. So
Yeah.
who's doing the quality control?
I think it's a joint venture between vPress and Boston College. The thing to think about it too is they have, Google Books are talking about millions of pieces of content being entered. We have significantly less. So basically, we're a little more able to kind of quality control everything that goes in. So yeah, it's a batch process, but we also, make sure to look at each piece. So we're basically on both ends. We're doing it. Yeah.
Also on scanning, are you going to be offering that to all the schools? Because that's about where we are, and we have just subscribed to vPress and our site's about to go live. But I was just kind of wondering, are you going to be offering the scanning to all schools? Is that something that you can pay for? Or?
Yeah, the scanning service, we haven't built it into, it's probably the only service because it's new that we haven't built into the subscription model. So basically what we'll do is we'll look at how much content you need put up, how many man hours it's going to take, and then we price it based on that. But
Okay.
yeah.
So if I give you a citation, would you retrieve it and then scan it, or would you need the hard copy sent to you?
I think we need the hard copy. I'm not totally sure though. We should talk after.
Yeah. Okay, you want
Okay. Yeah.
Can you put your contact information?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I have this retro picture. It's not helping anyone. Yeah.
You mentioned batch loading as a service. Is that what would the school have to provide?
So basically what we do is, you can batch load it two ways, via XML and Excel. And what you would need to provide is, some sort of batch uploadable file. That said, we'll work with you to create that file. So if you have someone on staff that has some knowledge of XML, but maybe isn't totally comfortable in it, we'll walk them through the process to render a proper XML file for batch upload.
Is that an extra charge for batch uploading?
No, that's just, included in the services. The services system is, we're getting calls all the time. We're walking people through stuff all the time. It's just, we have about 30 people on our client services staff, and each one handles a different school, so. Yeah.
To the extent we've been looking at this, we've been looking at the institutional repository level. Is what you're showing here as far as the journals a separate subscription from the institutional repository?
It is not. It is built into the institutional repository license. At the institutional level, we have institutions using Digital Commons for lots of different kinds of journals. The law review is just another example of a kind of journal that we publish through the IR. So, it's up to your IR administrator if they would like to publish it with Digital Commons. But I have no one has said no. They really like people using the service as much as possible, and they're really happy when someone yeah.
Is there a way to take the data and then repurpose it on other websites that say we have within our institution?
Sure. So because DC is an open system, it's OAI compliant. There's a lot of different ways that you can crawl content and render it for another system. And a lot of schools do that. A lot of schools, some will crawl it with the XML gateway, but some will also just use RSS feeds. So because DC has RSS enabled, you can basically just feed your content with RSS feeds into any other static web pages out there. So we have a lot of people doing kind of nifty things with that.
Can you explain what you said is XML gateway? Because that's more what I'm interested in. Is it just an open type API that's just XML? Okay.
That's right. So you would have to, create something by which to crawl it and pull it. But it's a open gateway to do so, and we do have several schools doing that. Any other questions? All right. Well, thanks so much. I
That was a nice Is there a way to do a file sharing in a way that I log into a account and upload a file and stick back the file? That's one that's
Are you staying at the Sheraton?
Yes. No, I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah,
No, but Kimball-
that's actually as bad as,
No, but
because
Kimball-
people will stand for you if you pay them. Like, I don't
That's what you can get it done. You can get it done.
Or
Yeah.
I will, right, like, we've been talking to them a little bit about just, getting our content, paying for it to be put onto our site.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's, the copyright is a little bit, that's actually, I didn't want to think about the spot and raise my hand and be like, what about that? Because I know that's a hard question to answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely
It
one I
is.
had. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
I will ask my editor to send an email to you.
Yeah, please do. We
I
can,
think that
yeah, we can give them, so what you saw today was a very kind of pared down demo of the back end, but we can give them a full, full tour.
as soon as I go back to Brazil at the end of the week.
Okay.
I'm just asking to to send an email to you.
Great, great.
And he's going to discuss with you all the
Great.
details. I think that is okay for us.
Did you give me a card?
I didn't. I didn't because I think that.
If you have one, that would
Yes,
be
I
great.
think I have all my copies. But
That's right.
and I
let me-
just
oh, you did-
signed.
you wrote it. Okay, I'll just spell your name.
Yes, I'm there.
Do you want to speak?
Let me see.
There. I know that stuff is very interesting. A lot of people are interested. So I think that they're trying to,
At
many of them, great company, because they would, they're not paying much more less than the profit.
All right, I will, yeah. So
So-
either send me an email or
Oh,
I
no,
will.
who's going to send it? You know, the email is my boss, my editor.
Cool.
His name is José Rodrigo.
Great.
Anyway, don't about that. He's going to send you an
Great,
email, and he's going to be in touch with you.
Cool.
I just did accompanying the case in the back.
Okay.
Okay?
Kathleen, out of curiosity, how much does the scanning cost? Do you have like a ballpark for a document, or is it
I don't
something you have to work
know.
out?
Yeah, because I wasn't involved in it, and we only
Yeah.
did it in a couple of instances, so I just don't know. But Courtney would know.
All right, I'll talk to Courtney.
She would absolutely know because, you know, she was basically part of that entire process.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
When do you go home?
I'm going tomorrow to New York, and I stay there for 3 days,
Nice.
and then I will be back on Thursday.
Very nice.
So next 1 week from today, I will be working. Unfortunately, if there is no soccer game, Brazil soccer's game,
Yeah.
because the country stops, nobody goes to work.
I know my dad is in Brazil right now.
Oh yeah.
My stepmom.
Oh,
Yeah, they spend like half the year there, and then they spend half the year in Florida.
yeah. I just talked to my wife. Nobody was working today because the game was
That's nice.
at 11 o'clock in Brazilian time. At 11 o'clock, so the guys didn't go to work.
You know,
That's it.
when last time I was in Brazil, I was really jet lagged, and it was like 8 o'clock at night, so I was taking a nap, and all of a sudden I leapt out of bed because I thought there was an earthquake or something because they were screaming. But no, Santos had just scored a goal.
Oh.
And like the whole apartment complex, I had never like
Where were you?
we were in Goiânia.
Yeah, you're in
We were just in an
Goiânia.
apartment
Well,
complex in Goiânia.
And Santos is not from Goiânia.
I know.
you know.
But I was like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, I never heard that in a Super Bowl, World Series. No. But in Brazil.
No, that's the country for that.
Yeah, I mean, and I adore soccer. Soccer is my favorite thing in the world. Well, enjoy your trip to New York.
Okay, thank you very much. And we'll be in touch.
All right, great.